All right, here it is. We're at the bottom of page Vav. Now, as I looked at this now, and I went through this a little bit, it comes out that this is really pretty much the whole thing is in this ha'oros v'ha'aros part. So we're going to take it one at a time, and I guess we'll just start going through it and go through the different numbers and see what it brings us to, and I'll try to find my way. I see. Okay, a little bit idea where it is. So he says again. We'll start just from the intro. It's where it says, yeah, here we go. Ma'acha shepasach arayim mehemlech the droshes pasach v'mahaskilin yaskiro v'shvach Rebbe Shimon v'chaverov hamshech Rebbe Shimon the drosh as the pasach zeh besod eser spheres ha'tzilus ramazim bo. And he writes, La'achar hakdama zu she'amar harayim mehemne bebir b'hamaskilin yaskiro pasuk Rebbe Shimon levayer as hemshek pasuk Zohar, which is al Zohar akia deuhu kolu kol govern, that has within it all colors. Shehu haromas the yisod. So yisod is a collector. Kol was called gavane hazohar sheyesh. This is number Yud Tes. Yud Tes. There is Yud Tes up there in the left-hand corner of the left-hand column. Number Yud Tes. Let me bring my camera down a little bit lower there. Number 2, Yud Tes Dahainu. So I didn't see any great chiddush. Am I in the right place? Yeah. No, I'm not in the right place. Here it is, Yud Tes. So Rikia, as I think we mentioned yesterday, is, I guess, the bottom firmament or the bottom heaven, that which is closest to Malchus. Shehu kol is called mini hazohar, that has within it all different kinds of. They started to use this word zohar, so I'm going to translate it right now as radiances. Mine Gezorah Hacherim Shehem Hasviros Shemalav, which really, what are they? In fact, they are the spheros that are up above it. So he said, okay, in other words, they're pouring down. It's like a waterfall type effect, and they get collected in a pool at the bottom. Valkehu Nikwa Kol, and that's the reason why it's called Kol. There's no great chiddush in there, just going on with his thoughts. And let me try to find where that was. That was number 19. So now we're going to read. Let me find where is 19. There it is. Okay, so here is number 19. So it says, the phrase has, Kolo is called Gavin Zohar Sheyesh Mamaor, and this is explained. This is number Kaf. Follows right afterwards. These are all little ones here. So there's another text. Is called Zohar. Every single ray, I'll call it ray now. Mahu, what it is. Pivnis Boyer Khan, and according to what he says here, this is what he's explaining. He says, Achein Ba'or Yakar Ksiv Shahaholuka Shall Mini Zohar. So the difference between these different rays, let's call it rays or radiances, Elul the feast Seder Spheres, according to the order of the spheres, he duchuka. Now, what does he want to tell me? He says they're really trying to push this idea out, or it's a stretch. I think that's what it means. V'alkein lo b'pirish b'derek zu ela shachgavana lahan hagos shonos v'lav dafka lefi haseder the lahalon, and not specifically the seder that he's going to say later on. Number Kaf Aleph. Number Kaf Aleph. We have to go back and forth here a little bit. So here's number Kaf, and here's number. So after number Kaf ki yesh, he says, and these big Aleph, I think there's, I don't know where they go. Maybe it's in the back. I haven't looked enough. But at any rate, it sounds like it's the beginning of an idea. Riki Yesh, and then he says, Zohar Tamir V'Gonus, Zohar Ne'elam V'Gonus, Shuhu HaKaser. So what does he want to say here? Switching pages, it goes over to number 21 down at the bottom, and this says like this. V'hu kolol shtei bechinos. The first one is mufla mimcha, more greater or more wondrous than, I guess, than you can handle. I'm not sure what that means. That's a hiddenness of it. Number base, there's another base on there. He says, mechusa mimcha, it's closed from you. Yesterday he talked about the concept of, I guess, the Melech HaMoshiach, like a Torah scroll hidden inside of an Aron. So here we have the reaching for an idea here to try to understand a little bit more. Oganeged shtechem omer shtei l'shanos tamir v'ganiz. There's two different ideas of hiddennesses. He's not bringing out over here the nature of these hiddennesses, but he's telling you there's two different kinds. One is called, let me see, where is it? One is called the mufla mincha. It's greater than, I'm translating it like it's greater than you are, greater your ability to reach it. The other one says it's closed, or it's, closed. Okay, so let's go on a little bit more. That was number 2021. He says, Zohar Tamir, V'gana, Zohar Ne'ela, V'gana, Shuhu HaKaser. The Kaser is hidden. The Zohar Bahir B'Shchakim, and it's a Zohar radiance that shines brightly in another place, which is called the Shchakim. So, Shchakim. Zohar HaMe'ir B'Netzach V'Hod, the Shchakim, which are the legs, are the concept. Let me see if I got this where it could be seen. 1 second. Yeah. Zohar HaMe'ir B'Netzach and Hod. So going on, we have to switch the page now. Go back over to the next page. Hanikraim Shchakim, which are called by that name, which is Netzach and Hod, is the station that's immediately above Yesod. So he said the Shchakim is another level, let's say, of heaven, so to speak. There's a little kaf bet on the opposite page, and the kaf bet on the opposite page. There we go. He says, "Ha-chochma hi bechinas or." Understand that. Below nikras or behir b'shchakim, and it's not called. V'lechein, and therefore nikras or behir b'shchakim. So therefore, it's this bright shining light in an area which is called shchakim, which he said refers to Netzach and Hod. L'umas had-bina, that is in correspondence to bina. Shehi bechinas dinim. On the Mishalan and Itzutzi on his rocking in an air, which is similar. This is what dinim are like. Dinim are like sparks that come out of a flame. Period. Number Kaf Gimel, moving along. Number Kaf Gimel, it says, after the letter Gimel, it says, Zohar HaRakia Nitzutzim Hamavchig kabarak, like a lightning bolt, la'ainin, to the eyes. What does that mean? So Zohar hazorak nitzutzus meir be'or chazak, and it shines very powerful light. And where does it shine it to? L'chesed gevurah hanikraim on einayim, which are called einayim. I don't have that metaphor understood well. Said Anikroim Einayim, he said V'ku ha-bina, and what are the Einayim? Bina. Let me read this again. The fact that he says that Nitzutz B'or Chazak, the Chesed, and this spark of light goes into Gevura and the Chesed and Gevura Hanikroim Einayim, which are called the eyes. The eyes is Lashon direction. I'm not sure what it means. Then he says the eyes are actually Bina. Bina is focused. So he says, what does that mean? I don't know. Zohar Zohir Kivar Kesehura. So it's a Zohar, a radiance, that shines in a whiteness like the moon. Zohar Mehi Be'or Levana, Kalavana Shuhu HaChesed, like the moon, which is Chesed. When did we say that the moon is Chesed? I know that the moon is Malchus. Here he says the moon is Chesed. So this is number Kaf Gimel on the opposite page. And it says in the Ha'aros, and he says like this, he says, Omer ala chesed shuhu or lavan kalavona. So that's why it's called that, because the light of it is white. The vishachal lavona shehi soda malchus, back to that thought, he mekabelas min chesed, because the first place where the light, so to speak, is distilled, it begins to start coming and ultimately will wind up, because it's the Yom Shekula, it has everything within it in that sense of what's coming from up above. Min chesed nikras mishum kach shehi sod barte de Avraham. This is the daughter of Avraham. So he said, okay, that's that idea, and it explains the thought of how those things go together. That was Kaf Gimel. Let me find it. Okay, now in Kaf Gimel we'll read on number Hey. He says, Zohar sum kama'adim. Zohar hameir be'or edom kama'adim, like a dye. I think that's what he means. Shehu gevura. Gevura gets into everything. So he said, Zohar mavchik kalil yeruka kahama. So this is again bright, shining radiance, very bright radiance. Zohar hameir be'or bohek hakalo as gavnech halavan v'edem, and it has these two colors associated with it. He said, b'gavan yarak hama, it's a green like the sun. Now, I'm not sure that I ever saw that the sun was considered to be green, and so let's see what he says. Gavan yarak hama v'chat teferes, which is keferes. Teferes, which he says is green like the sun. Hakol chesed gevura. Let's go on the other side and pick up a little bit. That was Kaf Gimel. Where did Kaf Daud go? Here it is. Okay, so he says, Dahainu, Gavana Nikra B'Shonenu Tzahuv, which is yellow. Yellow is not green, so he says that yellow has an aspect of green to it, or it is green, or what? Shu Nikra B'Lashon HaTanayim Yarok. So this Tzahuv color, the Tanayim, he says, call it green. B'Lashon HaKadmonim Kara L'Shnei Gavanim Yarok. So he says there are two different colors which are called green. Yarok Karsi. I look at the word Karsi. I think it's leeks, but I'm not sure what it is. Maybe you know. I'm sure you do. Yarok the Karsi Shuhu HaYarok Shalana, which is our regular green, what we call green. Beis is Yarok Chalmon. It's like the yolk of an egg. Beis is Shenik Bracha B'Lashenu Tzahuv. Mashach Teferes Nimshach B'Gavon Zeh. So where we see the Teferes, it's really flowing out from this color. Hu Mishum Shuhu Gavon Sheyotze Mimezivus Agavonim Adam V'Lovan. So what happens when you mix these two? Now he's saying, that one of them is yellowish. How do you get yellow in there? V'chein Hu HaTeferes Shuhu Mumutze Bein HaChesed V'Gavura. So I'm skipping these little references he has here, and let's go on to number Kaf Hey. So now number Kaf Hey he says, Aval lo kahama elakah. Let me go back to number Kaf Daled. Zohar Yarag Zohar Kolil Kiver V'Sumak. That's what we just read. There's a little yud base on it, but I think it's a site reference, so maybe it's not. We'll look at it. We'll look at it too. So he says that was Kaf Hey, and Kaf Hey says, HaNetzach. What about Netzach? Gam came kolabedin v'devura. Really? I thought it was on the right side. V'al kain, so therefore, Hagavan shaloch v'yarag shuhu mumutza bein edom l'lavin kanizka the el, which is a mixture of the two. Ulam who note the yosa the gavan l'lavin. But the thing about it is that the nature of Netzach, that's very interesting what he's saying. He's trying to say that these are very close together. That is, that din and this white line on the right side, okay, I'm coming out of Chesed, no to Yosa the Gavan Alovin. So it's tilted that way, Ki HaNetzach Ikara B'Yamin, because really where its root is in the right side. So question is that everything on the right side, according to this, would have some left side in it because of the nature of Tiferes. So this is the concept of a phrase which is white like a star. Okay, now there was a little yud base down below. A little yud base, let's just catch the phrase here. He says, Zohar kolil kiver v'sumak. Number yud base in the Bira Zohar down below. And it says, Zohar kolil kiver v'sumak, whose Zohar abba misfirvas hod kamosh amach malachim, like the malachim say. He said, what did they say? Tna hodecha al shemaim, take from your hod, put it on the shemaim. Al ha-shemaim, over the shemaim. V'amar ha-kodesh baruch hu l'moshe. Hachzer lechem tshuva. So he says, Hachzer lechem tshuva. He says, Klum mumutza yotzasam. I don't know what this phrase means. Kulam av aim yesh lechem. All of them have progenitors, a father and a mother. V'zecha keneged mitzvahs aseh. And this corresponds to a positive commandment. I'm still a little bit lost here. Lo signov, lo sirtzach, like that. Klum yetzer hara yesh lechem. They have no yetzer hara. Zecha keneged mitzvahs lo sa'aseh. So the lack of the yetzer hara refers to a negative commandment. Don't do things. This is the concept of incorporation of white with red. Also, it's white and red represents an aseh, a positive commandment, and also represents a low. And the other side is that it represents a negative commandment. V'nikra hod. Now, in this case, it's called hod. Derek hod pnei ha'adam. Like he says, the glory of a man is in his face. What does that mean? Chalav, v'dam, milk and blood. Heim anoistim ziv v'hod pnei ha'adam. So that's actually what colors a person's face. Shehem kiver v'sumak. Now there's a lot more to that. Where is this netzach and hod that he's talking about? Is he talking about the netzach and hod of the Golgotha because he went to the face? Doesn't say that. So he says shehem kiver v'sumak. V'chein iger hakarbanos chalav v'dam is milk and blood. Who hanirtza lekaper olav, and that is what has to be offered. I guess the both of them together, netzach and hod, he says they are. I'm not sure. V'chein achshav v'tainis. Now, also now, when we come to a fast, misma'atem chalav, then what happens is it limits down the amount of milk in a person's system. I said it wrong. He said, "Betainis mismata chalav v'chadam." In other words, the physicality of the person becomes less. Neged mitzvah saseh v'lo saseh, which correspond to the mitzvah saseh, the mitzvah lo saseh. And that was a little vague to me exactly what he was pulling that onto. Okay, let's go on to, that was number Yud Bet. And number Yud Bet, after that, he says the phrase had been Zohar kolil kiver v'sumak. So over here in that note, he wanted to say that kiver and suma represents mitzvahs aseh v'los aseh. Zohar meir b'or kolil melovan v'edon. This has the two colors, v'ku ha'hod. And that's what hod looks like. So number hod here is, let's try to find it. That was number Kaf Vav. Kaf Vav says, Ha'hod gam kein kola bedin v'rachmim. Ulam magava ha'adam yoser ikerbo. But if you want to know the real color, that's really the main thing here, is going to be red. V'rei od bebira zohar. We're only going on enough Kaf Zion. I just try to, since we got this far, I want to finish the paragraph. It's going to leave us very little time elsewhere, but we'll do the best we can. The Haila Yisod, Shehu command the Mocha B'Patish, something that smashes something with a hammer. The Zark Shvivim, the call Sitra, and it shoots off sparks. Zvevivin the Kol Sitra. A Kamisha Makabepatish, Vizorik Nitzutzas the Kol Tzad. Number Kaf Ches, this is a number Kaf Ches. Kaf Ches is up at the top. Bira Groa. The Groa comes into this, and he says, Shachakos HaPatish, who sowed Euridis HaOras B'or Choser. Now, where we have Or Choser here. So this is the Or that will come. I don't know. But I know the origin is the Olam HaKudim. We have the light reaches the Kesser, and then comes back. Over there, Kesser doesn't come back, but Chochmah comes back. Now, in other words, starts with Chochmah. This Kesser stays in the pad Ak. So he says, Apatish, who sowed Euridis HaOras B'or Choser, it's the concept of the falling down of lights in an Or Choser v'hanitzutzas hayotzim, who sowed Aliyas Or, the sparks that we're talking about. What about the sparks? It's talking about, we said, Aliyas Or besod Or Choser shuchu b'pechin nitzutzas v'den, which is the concept of nitzutzas v'den. When it's coming back down, it's a den. Now, there's what to be said about this, but not going there, I don't think. V'od she'ikar ha'chasadim is pashtim b'chamesh sefiros, which is Chagat Noah. V'ha'gavur b'yisod, then the Gavuros goes, I think I might have sefiros. V'ha'gavuros b'yisod, all of this collects in the Yisod. V'alkein omer shachar Yisod zork nitzutzo, so therefore we say it shoots out sparks. Shehem Gavuros. He said, "V'shas ratzon ubeir l'chai roi." Biaro explains over there, ki ahakor he sod hazivug. It's actually striking over there in Sharakudim or Shartant. I don't remember which one. Is it talks about striking. It's striking when it is really talking about, I think, short. I don't know. When it comes out of the ears, it stops at a certain place. The light that comes out of the ears of Ak, it stops at the chin. Roik ha'oras ha'kolulim seder ha'zivug shuhu ha'yisod motzi is called ha'oros ha'kolulim bo, which are inside of a nechlochim called echad marashesh kitzvahs l'tzad ha'roi lo. Okay, there's a little bit to unpack there, but we did not unpack too much, and so let's go on. We're going to skip number Kaf Tes, I think. Hachi Mahai Zohar, we're on the previous page again. So he says, Hachi Mahai Zohar, Zaharim Kamen Nishmasim. We see that many Neshamos are shining out of there. Kain Mamaor Zeh Shal Yisod, so also from this light of Yisod, Me'irim Kamen Neshamas Tzadikim, also are shining the Neshamas of Tzadikim. Again, one more time. So he says, Kain Ma'or Zeh, this light that we're talking about, he says it's an Or Choser. Shal Yisod, Meir Kamo Kamen Neshamas Tzadikim, the Inen Zorim Kuhu Barakia, that all of them shine into the heaven. He says, Shehem Kolel Kulam Meirin Birakia Shuhu Sod HaYisod, which is the secret of the concept of Yisod. Now, I just want to see if there is a Kaf Tes, as that's the Or Yakar and the Gra all agree in that idea there. So basically, this I haven't found any great opening to secrets yet. We have very little time, and so rather than try to get started on the Rosh Hashanah, which we'll go into tomorrow, we'll try to pick up the some ideas here. I'm just going to read the whole idea, and it says like this. One second. So it says Nuscha Acharina. There's a little lamed there. Tana, it teaches like this: V'hamaskilim yaskira gezor rakia de ihu zor tomed v'goniz da keser. So this is another girsa. Zor bahir b'shchakim da chochma. What does that refer to? That refers to chochma. So we have these phrases: Zor tomir. That refers to keser. Now he breaks up the word keser. I'm not sure why. Also, same thing with chochma. Zor bahir b'shchakim. He says da chochma. Zohar Zorak Nitzutzim, a Zohar that sends out sparks, umavkim kabara brak, and it lights everything up like a lightning blast. So we went to the ears again. This lightning blast goes to the ear, the eyes. The eyes, which is said previously, are bina. Zohar kivara kasih the gedula. Gedula really usually refers to chesed. Zohar zohar samaka, that shines red. Kama'adim da gevura, that's gevura. Going on, he says umevar mi heim haneshamos ameirin bekira. So exactly who are these neshamos that shine in the rekia? Now there was, I think we're actually on another one, so I didn't realize that. So let me see if we have 2 minutes to look at the little notes that he has over here. He says, number lamed, nuscha achrina, and so number lamed, he says, Begilian Maharam Paparis, he says, Azal, Kasa Shahud Toz Sofer, that this is a Toz. She'ain nuscha achrina, ala goh me'eza chochma, but rather it's a goh. So it's not really, we have two versions of this. Let's see if we can read on a little bit more and find the number lamed aleph. Tana b'chamaskilim yasira gazor rakida the ihul zohar tomim v'ganas do kaser zohar behir b'shchakim do chochma zohar zark nitzutzim umavkik gabarak la'ainin do bina zohi v'cha kesisrecha pedal gedula zohar zohar sumaka kama'adim do gevura. Okay, so there was a little bit more at the top. That's the one, that's what I mentioned. Zohar Mavkik Lil Yeruko, which has incorporated a greenness, the greenness of the sun, Daw Teferis. Zohar Yarak, so then he says regular green, Kakochav Da Netzach. Zohar Kaluk Ukam, it has black within it, Vitsumak and red, Da Hod. Zohar Zohir, the call Einin, call Aver, command the macha b'patish, like a person who strikes with a hammer, b'zarik shuvivin, the call mastar do yisod. So he says the one more time in this last one, the Zohar Zohir, the call aver that shines everywhere, is a command the macha b'patish, like shooting out sparks all over. That's what this is like. So I guess we have like 1 minute, so we'll read what happens next. We didn't have any real notes on that, so let's go. Mavarim mi heim, Rebbe Shimon Mavair ki hakochavim ameirim bekia. That phrase, that rekia that he's talking about, remember he said that the rekia is the lowest heaven, let's say, so to speak. The one that is closer to us is Yesod. Heim Sod Neshamas and Tzaddikim. It's the secret of the Neshamas of the Tzaddikim, and they crime Maskilim. Going back to this, Maskilim is Lashon Seichel. Previously, he had said that in the Chabura, that actually these lights, these ideas, these lights appeared in people's minds, and their minds saw it clearly. Shehein Yotzes Min Rekia. This all comes out from the Rekia. Yisod, and it tennis the Malchus from Yisod, and it's given to Malchus.